First, I would like to say thank you for purchasing from Medicines by Lily. And second, I would like to say thank you so much for being patient with me. I put that 5 to 10 day net on all of my readings because for the last few weeks it's been really bad. I haven't really had a lot of time to do readings. I get up in the morning, I go to work, I have errands to run after work, I get home at 10 o'clock at night, ready to go to bed, and it's just been that way every day for the last, 3 or 4 weeks. So I thank you so, so much. And I am definitely looking forward to doing your reading today. The Maiden Stance spread is one that I created specifically for finding your way back on your path when you feel like you've stepped off of it. I created it at a time when I was kind of feeling that way myself. I don't know what your path is, but I'm sure that we can get you back on it and back where you're supposed to be. So let me go ahead and show you what I've got out today. This is actually a new deck that I just bought last night. They jumped off of the shelf at me at the bookstore, and when I was looking through my decks trying to pick one for you today, they jumped out at me again, so I'm fairly sure that you are the reason I got these. So you should feel very special. This is the Angel Dreams Oracle deck by Doreen Virtue. It's based primarily on dream symbols and dream lessons, emotions and all of that we deal with and we process during the dream time. So I thought it would be actually really fitting, considering the Maiden Stance spread is kind of going back to your heart, back to the heart of the child. So over here, I don't know if you can see it, probably not, but I have a stick of spiritual incense burning. It's the kind that you can get at Walmart, but it smells incredible, and it's really good for meditation, good for spirit work, good for retrospection, all of that. And over on the other side, again, you probably can't see it, I have a candle lit for spirit set in my little lotus tea light candle holder. And lotus is a symbol for unfoldment, for development, I guess would be the more accurate term. So I like to include that in a lot of my readings, especially readings that are linked to the dream time. So next to that, I have my beautiful selenite tower, which attracts all kinds of positive energies. Black tourmaline, which deflects negativity. It kind of creates a barrier around the reading table so that no negative influence can enter the space. My rose quartz, which is really good for love and self-love kind of energy. But the only problem that I really have with rose quartz is that it moves at a very quick pace. So if you could get your hands on a piece of morganite, that would be a really good one for you to carry around. Morganite has all of the same qualities of rose quartz, except that it works at your pace. So if you don't feel like you can have your heart chakra just basically blasted open at this point, you need it to open slowly, then morganite would be the better option. Rose quartz works very, very quickly. Next to that, I have a piece of rainbow petrified wood for patience, mainly patience with the self. Peacock ore, which is good for overcoming obstacles of any variety. A piece of aquamarine, which is good for communication. It opens and cleanses the throat chakra, which is a place of creativity. It's a place of communication. It's how we communicate with the world around us, not just the people, but with our environment and with our own inner self. Next to that, I have a beautiful amethyst that I got from a very dear friend of mine. Amethyst is good for psychism, clairvoyance, clairsentience, all of that, for divination, all that good stuff. Spirit quartz, which is really good for spirituality, spiritual healing, spiritual work, all of that. And this is actually a relatively new crystal, but I absolutely love it. It's called auricalcite, and basically the teaching that this stone brings us is that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. So basically, if you are thinking it's going to happen, then it probably will. You know, keep your thoughts positive. Don't be afraid of what's going to happen, or you're actually going to make it happen. So next to that, I have my beautiful fluorite, which is good for balancing energies. Lapis lazuli, which is good for getting to the truth of the matter. Turquoise, which to me represents spirit, or represents the divine, God, goddess, whatever you want to call it. And since we're using an angel deck, I had to include this. This is my angel light crystal, which is a very healing crystal. It's most often used for angelic guidance, healing, all of that, as the name implies, angelite. And then last but not least, my beautiful, beautiful clear quartz crystal, which is really good for clarity. And I actually got that one from a very dear friend too. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll start shuffling, thinking about you and what it is that you need to know right now. New deck, it's still a little bit stiff. Alrighty. So the first card will be the steps, or the pattern of your situation. And we have Violet, spirituality, wisdom, and humility. I'll go ahead and set this up so you can look at it. But this card is very much linked to the crown chakra, which is the place of wisdom. It's the place of spirit. It's at the very top of the crown of our head. And like I said, it's the place of spirit. It's where we are able to discern what we are given. Whether it's a message in our sleep, whether it's a message from a guide in a waking dream or a daydream, or some random stranger comes up and says something to you that you really, really needed to hear. You know, it's the crown chakra is where we are able to discern the truth from the actual words that we are given, or the images that we're given. We're able to go in and find that little grain of what it is that actually applies to us, and what we need to know, what we need to experience, and what we need to do in order to get back on our path, or to keep, to stay on the path, or to step on a new path. It's violet is a very spiritual color. And so the pattern of your situation that I'm seeing is entirely spiritual. I'm feeling like you right now need to find balance between the physical and the spiritual, which is something that everybody struggles with at some point on their path, whether it's when they first start it or halfway through it or somewhere in between. It's something that everybody struggles with. Taking spirituality and infusing it with the physical, but not letting the spiritual override the physical. The first thing that really comes to my mind is extreme spiritual pursuits. Our shared friend, I'm sure that you are aware of her heritage. Well, one of the facets of the spirituality of that particular heritage is a vision quest. And that is a very extreme form of spiritual enlightenment. You go days without water, without food, in a place totally unknown to you, away from people, away from city noise, trying to receive guidance from spirit or from God or goddess, whatever you want to call it. And for some people that may work, but for others it's way too extreme. And things like that, you are the one that has to discern whether that is good for you or if it will actually hinder you. And right now I think you're in that particular place where you're having to figure out, okay, is this going to help me? Or is it going to make things more difficult? Like it looks like it will help, but you have that kind of hesitation in your mind saying, okay, well, maybe things aren't what they appear to be. How do I figure this out? Well, this is how. Try to get in tune with your crown chakra, even if it's not fully open. Our higher selves, our intuition, I guess you could call it, resides in the crown chakra. So even if that particular energy space is not wide open, you should still be able to access it and, dig deep into your intuition and say, okay, what do I need to know about this right now? How is this going to help me or will it hinder me? That kind of thing. So, all right, let's go ahead and look at the next card, which is the misstep, or where did you falter on your path? And we have daydream, imagination, allow your mind to wander, and quiet time. So the first thing that comes to my mind as a misstep is that you have not taken enough time to sit back with yourself and really think things through. You've probably got a really busy life like I do, and like our mutual friend does. Life goes on, things happen, work has to get done. But there comes a point where your soul, your spirit needs to have time by itself to figure out the next step. And if you don't give that to yourself, your spirit becomes sick in a way. It becomes very, very, very introverted to the point that you can't even really see it anymore. You are aware that you're alive, but you don't feel like you're part of the world. And daydreaming can be very good for you, but it can also hinder you. Digging into your imagination can do that too. I mean, if you spend too much time working on a project, or if you spend too much time hanging out with friends, doing what it is that you like to do, it's good for you, but in moderation. Balancing the spiritual and the physical. That's the key thing in this life. So like I said, daydreaming can be good for you, but it's not a good place to stay. So make sure you take a little quiet time. Don't focus on writing or painting or creating in any way. Just look in and think about what it is you've done, what it is that you want to do, what it is that where do you want to be a year from now? Where do you want to be 5 years from now? And it's okay to fumble. It's okay to not meet every single goal along the way. The key is to not ream yourself when that happens. You're human. It's part of being human. And so this is where you faltered. It's diving into one world without balancing it out with the other and taking the time to figure out where your balance lies. So already, card 3 is the smile, or where were you correct? Spring, awakening, projects, and renewal. So the springtime, we always see new life appear. And what I'm feeling right now is the start of your path. That is where you were correct. You made the right choice for you to get on the path that you are currently on, that you feel like you have stepped off of. And what we saw where you faltered is where you did not find that balance to keep your path in line with the goals that you had set for yourself. Does that make sense? I mean, it makes sense to me, but anyway. So, I don't even know what I'm trying to say right now. This happens a lot. We'll come back to this card. Keep that in mind. Card 4 is, why are you on the path that you're on? Why are you where you're at right now? Past life, gifts, and review. So I just got chills up and down my arms because this makes so much sense. I don't know if you believe in reincarnation or not, but I do. And actually something that I think is really interesting is that it is inherent in most of world religions, most of world spiritual paths, or at least it was at the very core of it. As certain traditions evolved, they kind of threw bits and pieces out, and reincarnation was often one of them. But another way to look at this card, instead of reincarnation, is seeing the day that you made the choice to step on the path that you are on, you left your old life behind. But the thing about past lives is that they tend to come back and haunt us if we don't deal with certain aspects of those lives. Whether it's a literal past life or figurative, as in like your childhood, And this is why you're where you're at. There was a balance missing in a past life, whether it was in this particular lifetime like your childhood, or if it's a past life as in reincarnation. There was a balance that you were not finding, and you are being reminded how important that balance is right now, that you need to find it now on the path that you chose in this life. And in every life that we go through, whether it's in our current life, childhood, adolescence, adulthood, or 3 lifetimes ago, 2 lifetimes ago, there are certain lessons that we are given that we are supposed to learn, and those lessons don't go away until we figure them out. And this is the top lesson that you need to learn right now. There are others that are working in your life as we speak, but this is the one that's at the forefront. It's balancing the spiritual and the physical. Finding that balance of taking time to sit with your own spirit, to work with your own god or goddess, or whatever you want to call it, and work, play relationships here on earth. It's finding that balance to keep your spirit healthy. And it might actually be a really good idea to do what this says and review over past actions, past thoughts. If you keep a dream journal, go back and look over your dream journal. You know, see what pops out, what theme is recurring in your dreams and in real life. I mean, it could be a person, it could be a book that keeps showing up, it could be a plant that you keep seeing. And then figure out what that means to you. But you can also go online and look up hundreds of different interpretations until you figure out which one makes the most sense to you. You know, which interpretation feels right. So, alrighty. Card 5 is how to connect to your inner dancer or to your inner child, to your heart, basically. Dream guide, teacher, or guardian. This is probably my favorite card in this deck so far. But pay attention to the faces and the words, the colors, the objects, the shapes, the numbers, all of that you see in your sleep time dreams, in your daytime dreams, but also in the physical world. A lot of times animal spirit guides will will bring us physical signs. Like, I find feathers, I find bones and claws and antlers, and, you know, I find physical parts like that. But they can come to you over the TV, they can send a stranger to give you a message, they can do pretty much anything to get the message across, but you have to pay attention in order to receive it. And in the realm of dreams, a guide is usually the one that goes unheeded, because unless you're in a lucid dream where you are completely conscious but your body is asleep, you're likely to subconsciously pass off what you're being shown or told as imagination. You know, and everybody does it. You know, don't think that you're a horrible person for not paying attention. Everybody does it. You know, it's part of being human. We have the attention span of a gnat, basically. It's just part of the human condition. But when we sit down and really focus, that's when magic or manifestation or blessings, miracles, whatever you want to call it, start to happen. And so I think that your heart, your inner child, your inner dancer is the one that is coming to you in your dreams, in your daydreams, in stories that you may write, or in drawings that you may draw, or in patterns of jewelry that you make, or, you know, it's they're manifesting, trying to teach you something, but you have to pay attention to it. So, alrighty, the next one is how to get back in the dance. And we have purple, third eye clairvoyance. Here again we see you need to pay attention. The third eye is the place of all psychic or paranormal, I guess you could say, activity. It's the eyes and ears of the psychic world, basically, where a simple daydream can turn into a vision, or a nighttime dream will turn into a vision, or you will be watching a TV show and suddenly something that someone said will just click. You know, it'll suddenly make sense because you've been receiving the message psychically for a while. You just haven't been paying attention to it. And purple is the color of the third eye. But this is how to get back in your dance. Focus, pay attention. If you are in doubt at all of what you're hearing, write it down. Pay attention, write it down, and then when you go back and look over everything that you've written down, there may be a solid picture, a solid message that your guides or your inner, your higher self, your intuition has been trying to tell you. So this is how to get back where you're supposed to be. You have the ability to receive these psychic messages, but the problem is you have to pay attention to them. You have to be okay with receiving them. You have to accept that you are able to do this. And for a lot of people, that's not really an option. For a lot of people, that scares the ever-living crap out of them, because they don't think that it's normal, when really it is, because about 90% of humanity experiences it at some point in their life. And the people that try to tell us it's not okay, that it's not normal, they do it because they're afraid of their own ability, or because they are jealous that they haven't been able to access it. I know, because I used to be that person. I used to be the one that was jealous, and so I would push it away. And that is one of the most unhealthy things that you can do for your spirit, because you are in denying your ability to receive and give messages. You are denying your ability to give and receive love. Because our higher self, our guides, they all come from spirit or from God, goddess, and that is a place of pure, unconditional love. So to deny your ability is to deny a form of love that only you can give yourself. Nobody else can do it for you. So pay attention. Whatever you receive, write it down, and later on, go back over it. Like at the end of the week, go back over it and see what you were given, and see if there's a coherent message or a coherent picture. And our last card is advice from the Maiden. Astral travel, vital force, information, dreamtime soul travel. I think that your abilities manifest most clearly in the dream time, when you're asleep. And that's how it is for a lot of people, because when we go to sleep, our third eye and our crown chakra, all of it just kind of pops open a little bit more. I'm not sure how that works. I'm not sure why. I just know that that's how it works. In the dream state, our subconscious self has a little bit more freedom to go around and figure out what it needs, even if we don't consciously realize it. The dream world is a place where we process issues that we have and find a solution. And if you don't remember your dreams, how are you going to de-stress? How are you going to remember, okay, or I already dealt with this? So, like I said, I think that this is how your abilities manifest. So this is the area that you should be focusing on the most. I don't know if you have ever actually astral traveled, but there are various places that you can go to meet guides, to meet spirit entities, to meet with angels, and kind of receive guidance. I mean, there are places you can go to meet yourself, to meet your higher self. And the way to astral travel is to initiate a lucid dream. And a lucid dream is merely your mental self is conscious while your body is unconscious. And then once you get to that state, you can step out and go wherever you need to go. And it may seem a little scary at first, especially if you don't do it on purpose. I know that from experience. If you don't do it on purpose, it's absolutely terrifying. But you are completely safe. When you astral travel, nothing can touch you unless you give it permission. You know, and there's no possibility of you not finding your way back. There's a kind of connection that remains between yourself and your body. So there's no danger whatsoever. It's just a little frustrating trying to figure out how to do it if you haven't done it before. So if that's something you would be interested in, it would definitely be beneficial for you. Otherwise, just pay very, very close attention to what you are given in the dream time and in your daydreams. Look back over any art or jewelry that you've created and try to find patterns. You know, for example, me personally, the Om symbol tends to come up a lot in my paintings. And I didn't quite realize what it was until I looked it up. And at that point, I became very involved in Buddhism. Okay? And ever since then, I have been able to find a balance for myself. And looking back over my dreams, it makes sense. So, pay attention. That's all you have to do. Is just pay attention. You know, write down what you see, what you feel, what you hear. If you smell anything funny, you know, if any kind of food starts to taste a little weird, you know, write that stuff down and look back over it later and see if there's a pattern. So, I really do enjoy this spread, and I think that you got a very good overall view of where you're at. You're at a bit of a crossroads, having to find balance between the spiritual and the physical. And that's basically what the dream time is. It's a balance between the spiritual and the physical. So that is the realm that you need to pay the most attention to. But don't neglect to look for signs and pay attention in the waking world too. So I really hope that this helps, and I hope that you enjoyed. And I thank you so much for your patience and for purchasing from my store. If you have any further questions or concerns, you know, please let me know. I never have any problem pulling an extra card or anything, doing follow-up questions, anything like that. So just let me know. Otherwise, I hope that you have a truly blessed week, and good luck.